Hello and welcome back to Boxing Social in association with Betfred. My name is Ayman Khan. I'm here in London at the BT Sports Studios. We've just concluded Arthur-Yarde 2 press conference. I'm here with the one and only Dominic Ingle, who has his charge, Sheeraz-Skeete, in the ring against Hamza, Shiraz. First of all, Dom, how's life treating you?
Yeah, good. You know, we're out of COVID restrictions now, aren't we? So boxing's much better. We've got the crowds in, the atmosphere. It was a bit of a strange time, fighting behind closed doors with no crowd, and a lot of strange results happened from it. And it's nice to know that we're back in the entertainment business now and crowds are getting let in.
Sheeraz-Skeete is your fighter who's coming in the ring against Hamza Shiraz, as I mentioned. First of all, Dom, with Bradley having that time out of the ring to take his mind off of boxing, there's a couple of things that I wanted to ask you about what your thoughts on when he came to you, about his, first of all, ambition and then capability. When was it, and what do you think it was that made you tick those boxes that he was ready to kind of come back?
Well, to be honest, he just came up. I mean, I'd known Bradley for years. I'd seen him at shows, and I used to see him at the boxing awards, and I used to look at his style. He's got the style we have, the hit him, not get hit kind of style, same as Billy Joe Saunders. I always thought about defence as well as attack. I liked his style. Sometimes I just thought he was a little bit negative, and when boxers are fragile sometimes mindset, and I think he got to the point where he was in a fight where he probably didn't want to be, and that's when fighters don't give a good account of themselves, and it's generally because a lot of stuff going off in your life. With boxing, you need to have a clear mind. You need to be single-minded in what you do. You can't be having outside problems like families, girlfriends, mums, dads, whatever's going on in your life or work. You've got to be just single-minded in what you do. And I think that probably played on Bradley somewhere, and that's why he had 2 years out of the game. And he came up to Sheffield. He goes, "Can I just come and do some training?" I said, "Yeah, if you want." I didn't have any intention of training for a fight. He came up with some of the guys, and he just got into the swing of things and started to find his groove a little bit. And dieted himself down, lost some weight, shaped up, had some good sparring sessions. Like I said, sparred Liam Williams, Khan-Brook, and numerous other guys, and I thought, he's still got it. Sheeraz-Skeete, he's still got the movement, he can still take a shot. And he goes, "Oh, I want to have a fight." And I said, "Well, we'll see how we go. You won't probably get a lot of money and it won't be anybody decent, but we'll just give you a run out." And we managed to find him a fight. He beat a guy, and since then he's had some good sparring sessions with some decent prospects, and he's done all right. So I saw something there, I thought, yeah, he's got a bit left in the tank. So we're looking around for fights, and this fight came up. And that was the only fight getting offered. There were other offers. I think they came on for Ted Cheeseman and other things like that. I turned them down, really. I just thought he needs a bit more time. But with Hamza, he's coming through. He's a prospect, and he's a tall guy. Bradley sparred him when he was a kid. He says, "I know what he's like. Obviously, he's a lot better than he was as a kid, but I've been in the ring with him. And, the money's good. And it's the right time for Bradley. It's a do or die situation. It's now or never. He's not going to get the soft build up again. He's had all that early in his career. Realistically, the experience he's had in the ring over the years, it's like riding a bike and swimming. You never forget how to do it. You might not be able to ride a bike or swim as fast as you used to, but the basic technique and the basic process is always there. And it's finding that again in a fight. And when the crowds are shouting, the adrenaline kicks in. A fighter's a fighter. It all kicks in. That instinct kicks in.
You said a lot there, but my next question was going to be, what do you make of Hamza Shiraz as a fighter? I mean, he's been billed by quite a few people, boxing observers, to be someone who could potentially win world titles at multiple weights. We'll see if he gets there. But what's your kind of thoughts from what you've seen?
You've always got to give that talk. I look at him now, I don't think he's a fighter who's going to win fights at multiple weights. That's the talk. It's always the ambition of a fighter. You've got to believe that. But he has, he's been built up like Frank does. He builds them up. He gives you the guys who's going to give you a little bit of a test. There's not one guy in his record who's never been stopped, I don't think. So he's going into fights knowing that the guys he's fighting can be stopped. And there's a weakness there. I don't think he's boxed anybody with a winning record. So he hasn't really been tested, has he? And even now with Bradley, they're talking it as a test. Yeah, it is a test on paper. The experience that where Bradley's been, the fights he's had, the wins he's had. But they're hoping that he's a diluted version of Sheeraz-Skeete, and that Hamza is, going to find another gear. And on paper, it'll look good if he beats Bradley. Beat a former British and Commonwealth European champion, but not in his prime. So it's a bit of a false reading, really. But he's only young. He's only 22. He's got plenty of time in front of him. The one thing about Frank is, obviously I've worked with him with Nazim Hamid, Ryan Rhodes, Johnny Nelson. Is he builds fighters up. He builds them up. He gives them the experience. He gives them the fights, and gradually steps the competition up. He has got it wrong a few times, like I mentioned in the press conference. When Matthew Macklin was coming through, Frank said we want to fight Andrew Face, and he got upset. Macklin, he got beat. And if you look at Macklin's record, I think the only people who beat him is Andrew Face, Golovkin, and the other guy, the Argentinian guy who was world champion. So, you look on his record. He got upset by who was just a basic kid. It's happened in the past. You don't always get it right when you make these matches. They haven't seen much of Bradley of late. Frank's team, he worked with Bradley through the years, and they're just hoping that Bradley hasn't got what he used to have. But if he can replicate what he did, he'll beat Hamza.
Do you think that Bradley's been slighted a little bit? The key word that's been used is experience, but Bradley kind of countered that and said, I'm not just experienced, I can fight, I can slug it out if I want to. But do you think that's kind of what they're looking at and maybe overlooking Bradley a little bit?
No, I don't think they're overlooking. I think they know what he's capable of, and that's the thing, innit? Bradley can box. That's, experience will never disappear, but your reflex, your time and your power will diminish over time, and that's what, they're hoping that's what's happened. But your experience of being in a situation, experience can get you through a lot of situations where you haven't got the physical capabilities. So they may be hoping that his physical capabilities have diminished, and, his experience will keep him in the fight for so long. But, we can only see when we get in, can't we, how good Hamza is, because he's never had a real test. So, I don't think that this is a real test for Hamza. Not in the sense that it's an unbeaten kid, somebody similar to him. A real test for Hamza would be somebody who's had the same amount of fights, the same amount of wins, and is another prospect coming through. That's a test. This is kind of crossing off a name of a past good fighter. But what they're underestimating is, or maybe they're not underestimating, but what they're not realising is that Sheeraz-Skeete has rejuvenated himself, and he fancies the job. You know what I mean? Like I say, he sold loads of tickets for this. You don't sell tickets if you think you're going to get banged out and not give a good account of yourself. He's in London, he's where he lives. So that's all, part and parcel of trying to get the win. You're not going to embarrass yourself if you don't think you're up for it. He's looked at, Hamza, he's watched the videos, he's watched his fights. He's obviously sparred him a few years ago as well. So he's confident, he can get through this fight and win.
Tom, a couple of things away from this, and I'll bring it back to the fight. First of all, Aftermath and Dust has firmly settled on the fight, but how's Kid Galahad been since obviously that shock defeat? I remember watching the video from Matchroom saying you were saying it's just boxing, this is what happens, but how's it been?
Yeah, same. You take your eye off the ball for one split second in this game and you get beat, and that's what happened. He had a lapse in concentration. He was winning the fight easy. Probably thought this is a bit too easy, and all of a sudden a shot came out of nowhere and he got caught. And it's sickening, really, when you put the time and effort into these kids and you get to that point when it happens. But it happens so many times. It's happened so many times in the past. It always continue to happen, and you just have to readjust, go back to the drawing board. He was back in the gym the following week, the same week, and back training. Just there's a rematch clause, and we're waiting for Eddie to sort that out.
Khan-Brook has finally got the announcement he's been looking for a long time, or boxing fans have been waiting for too. That being the fight with Amir Khan. Dust is just started settling on that too. What's your kind of reaction to seeing the press conference? Obviously, you were there yourself.
Yeah, massive press conference, a lot of interest. A lot of people saying it's past its sell by date. It's past every year. It goes past. Not boxing. It's been past its sell by date. From time began, really. They've both been world champions at different stages of their careers, so you could argue the point that when Amir Khan was world champion and Kell wasn't, it'd have been a good fight then, as Kell as a challenger. So that fight fell through. Then when Khan-Brook became world champion and Amir Khan wasn't, he offered to give Khan the chance. He didn't want to take it. So, he went past that. So it's past its sell by date. They're both not world champions anymore, but it's still an interesting fight. If you've got fights like, Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fighting and it's getting massive interest, well, people want to see Amir Khan and Khan-Brook, whatever version it is, just to put it to bed to see who does win. I don't think it matters at what stage Amir Khan boxed Kell, whether it was 5 years ago, 4-3 to 1 now. I don't think the result would have been any difference. I always think Kell-Brook's going to win, but it's just how he's going to win. 4 or 5 years ago, it'd be 4 or 5 round fight. Now it might be 8 or 9. But I'm still confident that the one who's going to win the fight is Khan-Brook, because he's had less wear and tear. He's lived life better than Khan. He's been in the gym, in between fights more than Khan. Khan's talking about, going over to America and starting his camp. He might have been ticking over, but you watch his social media stuff. He's not been anywhere near the gym in the last 6 months. Khan-Brook's been in the gym training, so he's not going from a standing start. And that's the thing. The people around Khan is that he's 34 years old. You can't just roll into the gym in 12 weeks and get yourself fit. you might get down to weight and you might get somewhere light. But unfortunately, the mentality doesn't change. You've still got the mentality of when they were 24 and 25. Oh yeah, going to the gym and train for 12 weeks, I'll be fine. But you can't when you're 34, and you know he won't have any incentive. He's been swanning around, you know, living the life, you know, in Dubai, back and forwards, playing the celebrity. Well, you know, the hard work is getting into the gym, and when you're being away from the gym, it takes an adjustment period. You know what I mean? It takes an adjustment period to get back into the swing of things. Your body don't turn itself around in 12 weeks when you're 34 years old.
Something that's synonymous with the Ingle style is being thick-skinned. You know, the fighters are trained to kind of slag each other when they're sparring, so that when it comes to kind of any of that sort of thing, they're thick-skinned, they don't care about it. But Kel said in the press conference that there's something about American fighting that really kind of gets under my skin, that irritates me. How important is it to kind of keep kind of emotionally kind of blank for what is such a big grudge match from both fighters?
Yeah, it does, but the thing is, you know, Kel's that type of person anyway, that he might vocalise it in a press conference, but when he gets into the ring, he keeps a lid on it. He doesn't, you know, let it get out of hand and take control of his boxing. He's always, no matter how, it's a bit like a driver in a car getting road rage and spinning it all over the road, or somebody be raging and just keeping it on the track. It's like Kel can keep it in control and put that rage into his boxing. You know what I mean? He won't get carried away and throw hell for leather. And then when he's talking about having a fight in a car park, he's saying to Khan, well, if you want to do that, we can do it. But we know full well Khan's not going to do that, because he can't. Khan's got to box and keep away from Kel. That's what he'll do, like he does in most fights. The only time really, you know, Khan goes out and starts trying to have a punch up with his early fights. He did it with British Prescott and he got chin trying to bang somebody out. He's not a massive puncher, Khan, and he hasn't got a good chin. So he's got to use his speed and his boxing ability to keep out of the way, getting hit on the chin.
Dom, let's take a quick look at the main event. How do you see that fight playing out?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I think it was a fight that everybody expected Yarde to win the last time out, and you know he was banging everybody out and you know getting a good name for himself. And Lyndon Arthur came along and he kind of like knew what he was up against, and he just kind of, for me, from the bit I watched of it, or my recollection of it, is that just kept to the basic stuff of the jabs and the straight shots and kept out of the way of the bombs of Yarde. And then I think when Yarde realised the fight was slipping away from him in the later rounds, he kind of then, you know, started letting his hands go a bit more. But he probably should never got to that stage. And I think the one thing that Yarde lacks is he doesn't really work from behind a jab. You know, if you're basic boxing technique is everything's set up from the jab. You can't be leading off with hooks and uppercuts and power shots, because you know they're easy to avoid if you know how to avoid them. You know, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So you've got Lyndon Arthur, who's you know a little bit taller, got a long reach, he's just popping his jab through, and kept Yarde guessing. And it might be the same way. The person who's got to adjust, I think, in this fight the most is Yarde, because he got beat. All right, it was a split decision, but you know Arthur's got to just be careful. You know, he's got to play it safe. He's actually got to box like he did last time, but with a bit more conviction and a bit more sting in his shots and a bit more confidence, and not be really waiting to see what Anthony Yarde's going to do. He's got to take control of the fight himself. He's got to set the pace. You know what I mean? Take the confidence out of Yarde, and Yarde's got to try and jump on Arthur and take him out of his stride and get him away from his boxing.
Final thing, what can we expect to see from Sheeraz-Skeete in the ring this weekend?
Yeah, we'll know after the first 4 rounds how the fight's going to go. We've got a game plan. He's a very good boxer, Bradley. Like I said, we've had him in with Liam Williams, Khan-Brook. He's been taking shots, and they're big hitters. They can punch, and you know he's managed to box his way through them sparring sessions and avoid getting hurt. And you can see what he's got. His timing's good. So if he can he can bring that into the ring on Saturday night. I'm expecting Sheeraz-Skeete to win on points.